items. I can recite them by heart.
Okay.
One is a vote to allow remote participation in meetings of Warwick town boards and committees and commissions. Two is
The attorney.
the attorney, and three is the labor bid.
And as far as reappointing.
Should be able to see out of them now. Put your
Rose
finger
is
on
in
the clock.
charge of four.
Let's call them the meeting to order. Wham, wham, wham. Public comment, items not on the agenda. Nope. Vote to allow remote participation in meetings. You know all about that. How do we do it?
Move that the select board authorize town boards, committees, commissions, we got anything else that needs to post? To allow remote participation in their meetings.
So moved.
I'm looking at participation in their meetings. So it would be John moved that the select board authorize town boards, committees, and commissions to allow remote participation in their meetings.
Need a second.
I'd kind of like to put a hold on it for everybody except us, because there's a problem, I think, about how do you verify somebody's presence when you routinely allow remote.
Jesus Christ.
They have to call on the phone.
I think it's a problem, and
Do you first of all understand that this allows remote participation, but that the individual participating may not be counted to make a quorum? That's also in the law, okay? So
No,
there has to
it-
physically be a quorum present according to mass law. And in order for people to remotely participate, the select board must one time vote that this can be done.
well,
Why wouldn't we extend that
how
to
do
any
we
other
later
board?
know whether somebody remotely participated or not?
It would be in their minutes, I believe.
That is correct.
Well, there should be something in the minutes confirming the remote participation of that person. Like, so-and-so, are you present?
Do you want to add that as a friendly amendment or whatever you call it before you second it? It hasn't been seconded yet, so technically it's
I know.
an open motion. I don't know
I
how people
think
do
I'd
this.
like to add something of that sort as a friendly amendment, although the way to deal with it might
Wasn't
be
good for you.
to deal with it for us only and then think about it. That's why. That's why I suggested let's deal with it for us only and then everybody else later. The problem is if you have minutes of the meeting that say so-and-so remotely participated, and then that becomes routine. Oh, well, we'll just put down all the other members who remotely participated. And
That-
He just
that
said
would
there
be-
has to be a physical quorum.
That would be known as fraud. The common term for that would be fraud.
That's true, it would be fraud.
Yeah, and we must assume that none of us are going to willfully engage in fraud.
I think we could,
Except maybe David.
Remote participation allows for votes, correct, but cannot, these two people would still have to be here in order to be a meeting, for example, in
Right.
order for Patricia to remotely participate. But if
But
she's
she can't
remotely
vote.
participated, she cannot vote or she
She
can't?
can vote,
She can
Okay.
vote?
she can vote, but only if there's a quorum
Yes.
here present and voting.
if nobody thinks it's a problem, we could just do it.
I think
But-
we should just do it.
I kind of think it's a problem that it's,
Could I
some
speak to
committee-
it?
Some committee out there could get sloppy.
If the committee conspired to commit fraud, God help us. However, the other night, I attended a finance committee meeting. It was Steve Kirkowski's 7th different town board meeting on on his project
Uh-huh.
to get the,
PVRS.
yeah, to get the school district to agree and the towns to agree to perform as contract. All but one finance committee member attended. He couldn't get away from his work responsibilities. He sent me an email that says, "Tell Steve I support this." He could possibly have phoned in and listened to that section and come up to speed with everybody. I think we must trust in the good faith of the 100 or so people that get appointed to town government and extend them the same courtesy. While Patricia's, I hope, patiently waiting for me to phone her into this meeting while we discuss the wrongs that somebody else might do. I just don't share your concern at all.
I think what I'd like to say is a friendly amendment says that the presence by remote participation shall be verified by the secretary and stated in minutes. Is that okay?
How would you verify? Can you their house and see who's on the phone?
Yeah, because they'll have to be accessible by phone anyway.
I disagree.
Then I'm not
I
gonna
think
second
this
it.
is overkill.
I'm not going to second it except for the for us, so that we can bring in Patricia, and then let's work out a system.
Okay.
Okay. I don't want to be a hassle about it, but I just have a feeling that people could get sloppy after a while.
If we don't tell anybody, nobody else will know, but it ought to apply to everybody.
Do you
Yeah.
mind if we continue it as to everybody else for 2 weeks? That's all I'm really asking. So that we
I'm
can
just a
think about
water
it.
boy.
1 week, actually.
1 week, yeah.
This is your off week, this is kind of a special schedule meeting. Your next meeting's next Monday night, it's up on July 6th. So how is
Well,
this-
I'm going to offer the amendment, and if you oppose it, then I'm not going to second. Because I am a little
I don't think
Patricia won't be able to participate.
I mean, it's not a big deal. It's verified by the person who is taking the minutes that the member
I
is
just think
indeed
I
present.
think it's overkill. I personally think it's overkill. People don't, you really have to dig up people to serve. And I don't think they're gonna just try to,
Well, right now, they don't get to do remote participation at all, so.
They don't get to do it legally. I remember this board doing one before. And there may have been a vote already. I was just trying to be clean, so.
Well, do you trust people who will set up something that they're doing illegal? I mean, you said it's been done before.
I do
already.
remember it was done by this board when Patricia phoned in, and the issue, it was when I first came to work here, and it was something to do with that sign out there. And so I know there have been remote participation phone-in meetings. I just wanted to make it clean and clear and get the vote on the record. It's easier to vote it again than it is to go look it up. That's all.
Well, I'm not going to second it. We can put it on the agenda for the next meeting to discuss it.
All right,
Right
as a
on.
courtesy, I'm gonna go call Patricia and tell her that you vote to.
No, I'm making an exception for this board. You understand?
No, I don't. But
He did say that.
If
That
you
was-
do, that's good enough.
That's what his amendment was, as far as I understand it.
yeah.
That
Just
if-
none of the other.
So did it pass? Can I call Patricia now?
We haven't
No,
done
'cause
anything
he
yet. I haven't
seconded
written down
it.
the friendly amendment
Okay.
yet. We're still finding out if it's gonna happen. So please, state how you want your friendly amendment to read, because I gotta go all the way down here and add it.
Sorry.
Read it.
It is,
Right now, it says, Maggie moved that the select board authorize town boards, committees, and commissions
Now,
to
just-
allow remote participation in their meetings.
I'll amend that to its meeting.
will amend it to what?
So it would be to authorize the select board authorize to allow remote participation in its meeting.
Correct.
We gotta do this quick, he's gonna have a heart attack if he don't get to use his phone.
I'm doing fine.
Do we have a
Then
second?
then
Probably
we have a
phone won't
second.
work after this.
Oh,
Yeah, I guess I'm the chair. We forget. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
That was
So it has been voted that the select board authorizes remote participation in its meetings. Are you gonna bring this up again?
I said so.
We don't need to put that.
Could I have room 510, please?
And the name of the patient?
Lemon.
I'm sorry, what's the patient's name?
Lemon, like the citrus fruit.
I'm sorry.
That's all right, you take this
I'll
one
take
off the
that
supper,
back
she
after
takes the
I was
freaking
finished.
lemon out of my iced tea and eats it.
Appointment of new town council. Limited
Part of
support
rehab,
council.
Gina?
Could I speak with Patricia
Counsel.
Lemon, please?
So could,
Like the fruit.
Like the fruit.
okay, this one's your show.
You're saying to bring in Patricia.
Hello?
Patricia, this is David, and we're at the select board meeting. Hi. How are you doing?
Well, best I can.
Well, good.
I'm assuming the select board meeting has been called to order?
It has been called to order and voted to allow remote participation, and you are on speakerphone. And I'll push it
Okay.
down
What
here.
are we discussing right now?
Okay.
You're up, Nick.
Hello, Pat.
Hi, Nick, how are you doing today?
Pretty good, except I blocked the remote participation for everybody except the board so that we can have further discussion of it.
I
And
didn't really understand what you just said.
I said I block by refusing to provide a second the grant of remote participation
It'll
to
get cold.
other boards
On what
and
grounds?
commissions. I'm sorry?
On what grounds?
On what grounds?
On what grounds? On the grounds that I wouldn't second your motion for everybody else. But my reasoning was that we ought to discuss whether it is really safe to have remote participation by everybody in all meetings except for a quorum without some kind of verification on the record that it actually takes place.
Okay, so what is the topic of discussion at the moment?
What has happened right now is that it has been approved for the select board, but not approved for anybody else, and the everybody else will be dealt with at the next meeting.
I'm in a vacation.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, go ahead.
What's the next topic on the agenda, I think she's
Okay.
asking?
The next topic on the agenda is appointment of new town council and possible appointment of separate council for a current zoning case.
Have you interviewed the proposed council?
This is on the agenda, it was on the notice agenda.
Sorry to hear that.
She wants
It
to
was
know.
on the notice agenda, and David gets to present it. David?
Thank you. Patricia, this came about at the ZBA hearing last Wednesday.
I do understand it. I saw your posting.
Okay, so Fred Dupre provided me with the names of 4 attorneys. One of them was counsel for Wagon Wheel, so that removed one of them. He recommended Jeremiah Pollard, who specializes in town council, represents 11 towns in Berkshire County, and Fred said he was willing to take us on for the retainer that we appropriate, which in the scope of retainers for town attorneys is not very much money.
I understand that.
Fred had not, go ahead.
Pardon? I just wanted to know if anybody there had actually spoken to this man personally.
I did for about an hour today. It involved,
How did you feel about that?
he had me trying to reel him in. He frankly was not very interested in working for us on our retainer. Since Fred spoke with him, let me just back up and tell you and tell the board that several years ago, Fred phoned me and said, David, we've just brought my youngest son Adam into the practice, and we had a meeting, and I asked the boys if they wanted to expand the town council line of business, and the boys decided they did not. Fred said, you're our only town, and I took you on an emergency basis, and it's been going on for almost 10 years. And I said, well, I really don't want to lose you. And he said, tell you what, well, this is a shortened version. He tried to resign, and the shortened version is, he said to me, okay, he said, things are working well. I'll remain Warwick's town council as long as you're town coordinator. And when you leave, we're leaving. And underlying reason was managing the workflow. You can recall when there were problems when certain individuals in town were phoning the town council direct, and the issue of the workflow and who got access to town council was an issue. You remember that, Patricia?
I do remember that period.
Yes. So anyhow, about a month ago, maybe 2, he tried to resign again, and I said, hold on, my budget is set, and we have a deal. I'm still here, you're staying. So he said, yep, deal's a deal. After this hearing on Wednesday night, Fred came over to me and said, you really need to get counsel who's well-versed in zoning. And I think it really is time for me to leave. And I said, I'm going to have to agree with you. So that's how we got.
That does make a lot of sense.
That's how we got to this point. So
Yeah.
Pollard, understanding that our appropriation is made, and I told him that I have I've encumbered the $5,000 for litigation from the fiscal year that today's the last day of, that I've encumbered that for litigation on the wagon wheel zoning case, and that we have another 5, and that our arrangement with Dupre was all legal counsel work was done under the retainer, except for any court appearances and basically court cases. And he said that his basic retainers started at $5,000 and went up to $30,000 with the 11 towns he had, and that he gave them, on that basis, he gave them a reduced rate for litigation of $100, which is pretty short money for attorneys if you've hired one at any time.
I've always been pretty impressed with his willingness to actually do anything for us.
All right, so at this point, we're not talking about Fred. I'm talking about my conversation with Jeremiah. So he agreed that he would pick us up for a year. He agreed that he will work on our zoning case until it goes to Superior Court, where I expect it's going to go. He'll be under the retainer, and he'll work for the $2,800 retainer, and that any litigation will be at $160 an hour. And I assured him that my board understands the difference between policy and legal questions, and that the chair of the selectmen isn't going to be on the phone with them an hour or 2 a week talking about what really amount to political problems. And I know a lot of towns do this.
I know they do too, but it's a real waste of time.
Yep. So at any rate, by next year,
Excuse me, we need to be able to hear, and
Can
the
you hear?
secretary needs to be able to hear what
Can you hear what Pat's saying?
Not terribly well.
Neither could I.
Isn't there a little speaker thing somewhere she used to have? No, she set it on
The air conditioner is actually probably, I know it's cooler.
Pat, others are having trouble hearing you, so
Well, I'm having trouble hearing too, so if you feel like you've got enough people there to discuss all this, I'll just withdraw for the time being, okay?
all right, you want to stay on the phone though, for what it's worth?
Yeah, I'll try to hear what's going on.
That would, try it again, see if she hears us all better now.
Do you hear better now, Patricia?
Not really.
I hear her much more clearly.
Okay.
My right arm is getting very tired because I don't have a speakerphone. And I'm not going to be able to hold it that much longer.
All right, so I assured him that we were somewhat technologically proficient, and to the extent possible, we would, that he might be able to get out of attending some meetings in person, that we'd expect him to be at our annual town meeting, although there wasn't a lot of heavy lifting usually, and that he really needed to be at or have Miriam's agreement that he could participate remotely at the hearing.
Yeah.
On the 16th, but he's lined up for the hearing on the 16th. I've got all the written testimony copied for him and for the other members of the ZBA, and we just await his appointment for an annual retainer of $2,800. He will bill that out twice a year. Is that annually?
Semi-annual.
So he'll bill that semi-annually.
Okay, is Don or Nick prepared to move that?
I move that we appoint Jeremiah Pollard for town council for a period of 1 year. He will serve, do we need to put in all that about the retainer?
No, it's in
I'll
the
just-
budget. There's not much else to do.
I'll just say for a period of 1 year.
Okay, I will second that.
Could you put in a really friendly amendment about his saying that his fee for litigation would be $160 an hour rather than a retainer?
I have that in a minute.
Nick?
Or, yes.
I already wrote that in the minutes.
Nick?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I certainly can.
Put the
You're
phone
right in
down
front
for
of
a
me.
moment. I'm not going to be able to hear you.
Can you hear me?
She just said
I
she
think
couldn't.
she just put the phone down.
Hello, hello? I guess she did.
The litigation rate of $160 an hour has already been put in the minutes, so it does state that it's there along with annual retainer, $2,800 billed semi-annual. So it's in this written record.
Okay, I'm
Okay,
back.
that's fine.
Are we voting yet?
We're trying.
We haven't quite voted it.
We need a second.
She seconded.
Yeah, Pat seconded.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Good.
Okay.
Nick, I will get you his email address tomorrow. It's
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, please. I'm going to put the phone down for a minute.
okay.
So the last name is Pollard, Pollard.
Yes. And
That was a
I
historical
think
vote.
that takes care of number 2 on the agenda. Number 3 is WCS School Labor Bid Award. Is Pat still on or is she not?
Pat, are you there?
No, she put the.
She said she put the phone
So
down.
she's listening but not speaking right now?
I don't know.
Oh, no, she
I don't
doesn't have
even think she's-
speakerphone. No, she can't.
Yeah. Okay, I'm back.
All right. Are we on to,
We're on to item number 3, the school labor bid
all right,
award. With
Sorry, what are we
Patricia
doing?
still on.
labor bid. All right,
Yes.
so here's the preamble.
This is the roof?
This is the roof at the school, and this is the labor component. I advertised this, posted it, advertised it in the Central Register, and we had 2 firms that bid. And the low bidder is Reineke contractors of Leicester.
And do we have anything about their reputation?
We do. I checked online at the official website of the Public Safety and Security Executive Office, and there were no disciplines or no disciplinary documentation. And
Well,
then,
that's good to know.
late today, they emailed me 4 references. I had asked for 3. And it was after 5 when I got to making phone calls, but I was able to reach 2 of the 4. So they gave me 1 municipal, 1 residential, and 2 commercials. I was able to get a hold of, surprisingly, the 2 commercial. The one which was I believe a nightclub in Worcester, said they do great work. They've done a couple of jobs, extremely meticulous, highly recommended.
Sounds like a good group. What
And
about the other one?
The other one is, again, a commercial.
No, I mean the other recommendation.
Yeah, the other recommendation said they've been using them for 10 or 12 years ongoing. They find him very fair. He's a good man, very pleased.
That sounds even better.
Yeah.
In that case, I move we hire him and give the contract to him.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Patricia, we're voting. Oh,
We're voting?
yes. What's your vote?
My vote is yes.
All right, that makes a unanimous vote.
Can you spell Reineke for me, please?
R-E-I-N-E-K-E.
R-E-I-N-K-E. I may be slaughtering this pronunciation.
R-E-I-N-K-E.
R-E-I-N-K-E.
And Rosa, why don't
I'm
you,
going to put the phone down again for a minute. I'll pick it up presently.
okay. Rosa, let's put their bid amount in our records. And it is, labor bid is I'm sorry, I wish, $49,580.
$49,580.
And the other thing that
How many squares is it?
makes me very optimistic about this is the terms are payment on satisfactory completion of the job.
Okay, are you there?
We're there. So Pat, the bid amount was it was just a little south of 50,000.
I saw those figures,
Yeah. So that's very good news.
so I was pretty pleased with that. Thank you.
At this point, I'm bidding the materials, and the material bid opening is 2 weeks from today.
Uh-huh. So when are they available to start on the work?
Well, I'm more worried that they're available sooner than we're ready for them in terms of
I know,
having.
that's why I was asking.
Yeah, we haven't been there yet, but they sound busy. They don't sound like they're hurting for work.
Yeah,
I mean, the fact that the guy didn't get the references to me until 4:30 on Monday, because he was out chasing things as the boss.
busy guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. So what's next?
Well, next on the agenda is, I'm going to pass around a letter we got from Bernardston about, I think I am, maybe I'm not. We got a letter from Bernardston, and it said
There was
that,
one on the railing up by the...
yeah, but that's what I meant to get. It said that they had no problems with the definitions of capital and maintenance, but they had a big problem with capital repair, and it should be
And
eliminated.
what was that?
It shouldn't exist, it should be eliminated. And they suggested a $1 threshold, and Bill's gone upstairs to get the letter. I think it was 10,000, it might have been 20.
Yeah,
I had corresponded with them, and I did follow up after the last meeting and wrote an email cover letter and resubmitted Warwick Board's letter from January. And I forwarded that to Bernardston, so they had that. Thank you, Bill.
the letter from from Bernston.
This isn't it. Let me put the phone down. I sent our letter, Pat, to Bernardston.
Okay, well, since
How
I'm
is-
not there, and I'm not sure I've actually seen that letter because I don't remember reading it, I'm going to recuse myself from this subject.
Well, there's no action. I just want to, because last week's action had to do with following up on the district's new definitions and their omission of our,
Of our demands.
yes, including a dispute mediation methodology. They're totally silent on it. They just took.
Well, I have to say, I'm not at all pleased with the sort of thing we've been getting from them anyway.
Well, interestingly, last Thursday on the technology piece, they said they were getting the consultant's report on Friday, scheduled a meeting for this Thursday at, I believe, 2 o'clock, and said they distribute the report last Friday. Haven't seen it yet.
Haven't seen it yet.
Haven't seen the consultant's report yet. Consultant could be late.
Yeah.
If I had people waiting on one, I would have done something to say the consultant's report is late. But I have contacted Bill Foote and Jim Raviti and John Bradford about going, and Don about going to the meeting.
Excellent.
So we'll find.
I think I will see if I can borrow Ted's conference telephone. He's going to Arizona next Wednesday and won't be using it, so I may be able to get one of those. You know that little triangular thing that sits on the table?
Yeah, those are good.
I'll see what I can do about it.
So that's it, except if the board will allow, I'm going to run upstairs and see if I can find you the Bernardston letter so you have
Do
it.
we need
Did you pick up the
to
one right by
vote
the
on
elevator?
reappointing Janet
There was one
today?
right on that shelf by the
The
elevator.
reappointment.
These were by the handrail.
Yeah, on that.
Yeah, and there was a coffee cup there.
It's,
I didn't see the
Janice
top.
Barrett needs to be
Oh, just the
reappointed
Bernardston caught
for
my eye.
another 3-year term as accountant. Her appointment is up as of midnight tonight. And I don't know how she got left off that appointment list, but she did. And then I went in as town clerk to swear
All
her in
you guys
last
missed it.
Friday.
Everybody.
And
That was
she said
one
I
of
wanted
my
to see,
queries
the
that
appointment
I
list, and we
never
couldn't find her,
actually
so.
I'm sorry.
I move that we reappoint Janice Barrett for a 3-year term, effective July 1st.
And ending?
Well,
It's
3 years,
they're passed.
June
Yeah.
30th,
June
2017.
30th.
ending June 30th, 2017.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
This raises an issue which I would like to have resolved sometime, which is things would work better probably if everybody who is an appointee knows where the list is. It is posted and they are asked, although it's not a requirement, to verify that they are on the list. That way, this would have been resolved a little easier. And we set it up as a policy that they have 2 weeks to view the list and come to us several days before our meeting with a report that they're not on the list, if that's true.
I think that's a good idea.
You agree?
Okay. Is there anything else on the agenda today?
I would like to put that on the agenda and,
Well, I think that will have to go on.
and somebody move it as a policy.
Patricia suggests that should go in another meeting.
We can do that.
Okay.
Put it on for next meeting.
Yeah, let's put it on for the next meeting.
Then are we done with the agenda as it stands?
Are there any more items?
we're
I
done.
except, oh,
There
did
was
you
one
get
other
the,
item.
did you get the letter?
There's no action,
No
but you guys have, the letter. It's, if I may, Nick?
Yes,
Um,
please.
What's the document?
Berniston Board voted unanimously the following changes, and then they note that on the capital definition, no change. On capital repair, remove this definition. The board is of the opinion this is maintenance. Operating maintenance, no change. And finally, add a definition of capital expense, defining it with $10,000 and useful life of 5 years.
Good.
What do you think
Okay,
of the
we don't
5
need to
years?
take
We
the
had
action on
discussed
it.
20.
And we settled on 10 in our letter.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you all.
You're welcome, Pat.
Hope you're feeling better.
Well, I'm doing my best. Thank you very much, everybody. And you know, those delphiniums are still beautiful. I have to say, David, that unfortunately the wonderful peonies have sort of gone by the board, but I enjoyed them while they were here.
Good. Peonies will do that.
Yeah.
I should have picked more. We got 4 inches of rain one night. I should have picked
Yeah,
more
well,
of them.
that knocked all the roses down, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pat.
You have a good weekend.
You too.
Take care.
Okay, sure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
David, could you please reread there's no change to the definition of capital.
You can have that, Rosa.
Oh, good, that will be much easier for me.
All right, and before we adjourn, just call everybody's attention to the rescheduled meeting with the FERCog and Kinder Morgan. It is scheduled for July 24th, 6 to 8 p.m. at GCC in the Cohen Family Dining Commons. So, just for your information, Nick, you may have that.
Is there any other business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.